I do want to ask about officiating. That was a big storyline going into the game. There was 2 awful calls to start, and then I felt like there was another one. I know you didn't like the was on Nick Bolton. Is that who it was for the personal foul?
Yeah.
I think you didn't like it. I can see why they did it. I don't know. That one, the field goal, like there was a couple others that was kind of like, all right, whatever. But the first 2 were about as bad of a start as you could have made for a Super Bowl. And this is being obviously a crew that's being awarded the opportunity to do this. But outside of that, it actually wasn't that badly officiated.
I thought it was that bad.
It was like they kind of stayed out of it.
Am I crazy? Because I know that the call on A.J. Brown felt pivotal because that was a 3rd down. They threw the ball, or that was a 4th down, rather. They threw the ball, got that big completion. It comes back for an offensive PI. And I thought initially, oh, that's a terrible call. And I think we were texting about it. The pushing away of the face mask.
The face mask, yeah.
That felt, after watching it, I thought, okay, well, I get it. Like, it wasn't as egregious as I initially thought it was.
Again, same thing. Like, it wasn't a 2-handed push off, which is typical that you see to create separation. And you heard Pereira talk about it. He called the NFL office. And so the explanation from the NFL was that it wasn't your typical hand fighting, that because he was pushing off the defender to his face mask, that's why the call was made. And I think when you looked back and saw how Trent McDuffie was impacted by it, you could kind of understand them making that call. So another one that I understood, it didn't look great in real time. That stuff happens throughout the course of a game, and oftentimes, players get away with it. So again, didn't love it, but I understood the rationale after the fact. It was the same thing with the field goal. Like, it didn't look like anyone from Kansas City once they showed that over the top view. And again, Pereira, said this. He's like, look, the defender never got in the neutral zone. So there was a snap infraction on top of the fact that it looked like someone from Philly actually jumped as well when the Kansas City player moved. So another one that ultimately didn't matter. Elliott made the kick anyway. But again, one that people kind of found controversial that really wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I was confused on the personal foul or unnecessary roughness. Like
on Bolton?
Yeah, so when it took place after the interception.
A little makeup call there, maybe?
Well, I was curious, like, should not have taken away the interception and been an automatic first down? That was not a post play, like it wasn't a dead ball foul. Did they make it a dead ball foul? Like that had me a tad bit confused. Like, they picked the ball off. The guy hits Patrick Mahomes in the face.
Oh, you mean that was a strip sack?
Was that the strip sack?
Strip sack.
Yeah,
strip sack.
Yeah, I wanted the same thing.
I don't understand how
the call because the ball was loose.
I feel like the personal
it was already
foul
gone at that point. Yeah, because he had already lost possession of it at that point. Then so it's not going to impact then the recovery of it. It will only impact the end result of the play.
That's why you remember the call a couple years ago that
still confused me a little bit.
Still one of the worst calls I've ever seen is when Chris Jones stripped Derek Carr and got called for a roughing the passer while he was stripping the ball.
Right.
Like this. So you've got that last night to where had he not lost the ball, they probably would have called a blow to the head because he did get hit in the head. I mean,
They got a really good lick on him. I was so happy for all defenders in the world of football.
Damn.
They got such a good hit on Patrick Mahomes at the end of that game. I mean, just the way they boop, like, you don't see pops anymore. You just see tackling, you know, and the minute you see a pop, they throw flags,
Can I fire off a couple of, I guess, tweets, if we still call them that, on X that I thought were somewhat entertaining?
Yeah.
Never realized how much the Chiefs depended on the funding from USAID. There was that. That's been a topical one. Serena crip walked for 4 seconds and gained more yards than the Chiefs in the entire first half.
That's a good one.
Was that really her?
That was her.
They said it was her.
No, she was like talking about it on social media afterwards.
Yeah,
so that was for sure her, but also not inaccurate. She was definitely moving further ahead than the Chiefs did in that one.
Dang.
Someone had tweeted out, this is more probably towards Jonas here, but if you ever wondered what Patrick Mahomes being drafted by the Bears would look like, this is it.
That was probably my favorite of the ones that I saw come through.
It is. Listen, that is the reality.
And one last one. And this one is an all-timer. All right. This is so bad. Thousands of little white boys will remember Cooper DeSheet's pick 6 in the Super Bowl for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
Seeing someone who looks like you play the position they said you never could means everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not white, so I can't relate, but I will say I thought
the worst is he goes on to say, this is our Jackie Robinson moment. I'm like, are you serious?
I thought that was a cute moment for all little white boys out there that aspire and dream of being
small step for man,
white mankind.
Yeah.
There's hope that y'all can actually y'all can play something other than quarterback.
Hey, can we get a round of applause for just a huge night for white people? That was really something. Tell you, man.
All I know is when Zach Bond picked that one ball off, Jonas went to immediately celebrate. And I was like,
no, not so fast, buddy.
I had to put it back in the holster.
Yeah, not so fast.
He did go to Wisconsin, but I'm just saying,
not so fast.
That was
my
close.
God.
Yeah,
that was real close.
Well, I mean, a lot of times
it should have been a half.
But as you well know, when it's close, it's on our side of it. When it's close, it don't go the opposite direction. It don't go, oh, it's very close. Yeah, we're going to claim him as fully Caucasian. Like, y'all don't do that.
All right.
It doesn't happen that way.
One last order of business to clear things up.
Let's go.
This actually went viral. A lot of people were irritated by this, and this is typical with most networks. They roll out what's going to be a new graphics package or something else. So for people who are listening, don't know what this is called. It's called a score bug. It's basically the thing that sits on the bottom of the screen that gives you the down distance, the score, shows the logos of the teams, etc. Fox rolled out their new score bug in obviously the Super Bowl, and there was a lot of people who did not like the minimalistic, very simple approach.
I loved it.
So that's the thing is from the other graphics that I've seen from Fox this year, obviously working for Fox and doing it, I actually liked it and thought it was an improvement because it was more minimal. But I can understand why there's a lot of people who are making jokes about the simplicity of it. So I didn't have an issue with it. I thought it was an improvement. It's not my favorite, but at the same time, that seemed to really upset people. Like, I didn't know that many people cared about how that score bug looks on the bottom of the screen.
I don't need all the bells and whistles and a big long banner across or to have it move from different portions. They threw it up there. It was simple. I know who KC is. I know who PHI is. Like, I don't need everything else to go along with it. And for anybody else, it does. Like, dude, go
What's
get
everything else?
Like, they need, it's got to add more colors, it's got to have this, more details added onto it. It's like, no, you don't need all that. Like, and if you do need all that, then you probably shouldn't be watching football. Like, go watch something else. Go get go throw a party for your kids, go to a bounce house and throw on the iPad and put on some goofy show on Nickelodeon. Like, go watch that broadcast. Simple, to the point, old school football and an ass whooping. By the way, DeAndre Hopkins, speaking of the officiating, he did call out people who were complaining about the Chiefs going into the game and had this to say.
I saw a lot of things in the media about the refs, but obviously what y'all gonna say now about the refs and us when there was a lot of touchy calls? Are y'all gonna report that? Are y'all gonna talk about the refs now?
Yeah, Bar.
Well, that surely didn't make the difference in that game.
No, not at all.
Yeah. And
if we're being honest, they got away with some blatant assholes in that game. Like, blatant. Kelsey got away with one. There were a couple linemen that clearly, the way they were holding him, the guy was trying to get away, and they held him long enough for Patrick Mahomes to get through the center of the line. They should have been called. There were a lot of calls that could have gone either way. I thought we talked about it. Q, you gave your opinion on it. I was not offended by the way they called the game. I thought that when I saw a BS call, I texted y'all, but for what it's worth, I thought it was a pretty evenly called game. I didn't think that there felt like, outside of that first one against Brown, I didn't think that there was like, okay, like that feels like an agenda. You sabotage their drive. Like, who knows how bad it gets if they don't call that back. Like, it could have got bad quicker if they don't call that back. Because that's the first drive, correct?
Yeah.
That was on third down, right?
Fourth down.
Fourth down. No,
Yeah.
Not fourth down.
Yeah, I think it was. Because they had to punt afterwards.
Well, right. So
Yeah.
it took it to fourth down. They took the penalty, then it goes to, right?
And it was
Isn't that
stayed
how it
fourth
goes?
down.
Stays
They had to
fourth
punt
down.
it.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that, I get where he's coming from because he's probably hurt from the results of the game. It's probably was his best opportunity to get a Super Bowl ring, and that might not happen for him now. So I get it, but by no means was this the type of game where you'd sit there and you'd say, all right, no, you didn't get the calls, but you shouldn't be talking about, talk about how they didn't call this or call that. Like, no, they called a pretty even game. So the fact that you guys didn't get the benefit of the referees giving you guys more calls was like, you shouldn't, good. That should be normal.